Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dicing with Death.
Devon tilts his head back over the vent. Extraplanar fingers massage his scalp as tendrils of mist waft overhead. He closes his eyes and breathes deep and rolls for insanity.
Scintillating colors dance across your face. Your eyes are closed, and yet the colors bleed through the eyes anyway, giving you brightly colored spots. You can feel in the pit of your stomach a hunger, a deep hunger for something inimical, something. So, do you want to roll your 20% chance of insanity?
Is it just an elemental plane we're reaching out to?
It's true.
Sure, it's not a 65% chance of insanity?
Quite certain it's not a 65% chance of insanity. I believe it's a 20% chance here that we've got going on.
So we're reaching an inner plane, but I've got 16 intelligence. Is that what you're thinking?
That's what I'm thinking.
I don't remember how the grader works, but it doesn't matter.
All right.
Like, if I rolled a 21, I rolled a 20. Anyways.
The grader is inclusive for some reason.
Yeah, so Devon does not go insane.
No, madness does not strike you.
And I think he first asks about Atropos. The spell is not as useful as it could be. Like, I feel like it would be more interesting to have like a conversation with an extraplanar creature and just like let the DM role play some strange, mysterious being, which seems to be implied. They're like the random table is subject to DM changes, development of extraplanar NPC beings, and so on. But
maybe there's a higher level version that lets you speak more directly and fluently.
Yeah, I would almost just think to, like, if it seems appropriate, like if you want me to have a conversation with Jexel, we could just have a conversation with Jexel for 9 minutes or whatever the duration is. Sorry, Drexel. But if I'm surprising you with a contact other plane, roll on the table. It also seems like you got to be really careful with yes or no questions to get anything useful, or you need to ask really leading questions. So I think he first probes into the nature of Atropos. God, wondering what. I think he wonders, what is she? But then he senses that he has contacted this presence. Can you maybe at least fill us in with some like lore just for like narrative circumstances? What is it? How does Devon feel the presence, and what does it feel like?
It's that hunger in your stomach is the presence that you feel. There's something out there that now that you're contacting it or connected with it is manifesting as this emptiness, right? Right where your stomach is.
Does it feel like a hunger for power, maybe? For knowledge?
At the moment it just feels like starvation of food, but in the context you might be able to recontextualize it as hunger for power or hunger for knowledge because you're in this state of contact, but it manifests itself as like an actual I haven't eaten in days hunger. It feels more physical than mental, even if it's probably like a mental hunger. It has psychosomatic manifestations.
So wondering about Devon's nature, about Atropos' nature, Devon will ask, is Atropos mortal?
Great question.
You don't need a riddle. You just need I think it's just a one-word answer.
Mm-hmm. No.
Was she summoned here?
No. And when you hear these voices, maybe it's because you're asking about her, or maybe it's because her hand is scratching away at the back of your head.
Was that her hand? I was under the impression it was the mists.
Well,
her hand's
I'm
in the mists.
The voice comes to you in her cooing voice. It comes, no.
Is it her that I'm contacting? And then I switch gears because I believe I have 2 more questions. I don't know that the word Yugoloth is one that Debon knows yet, but he, in seeing his power rising and now in having these apprentices and other people, his mother-in-law poking around his business, he needs a guardian, a librarian. And this contact with their plane is not necessarily in the common tongue. In fact, it almost certainly is not, right? It's a communication that transcends language, right? But I think Yugoloth is probably the word that comes out when Devon asks, will you lend me the service of a Yugoloth guardian for my library?
Yes.
Not even a maybe.
Happily.
Oh, 2 words. Uh-oh. Is the magic circle in the brackish fen the place to go to complete this transaction? Wow, such a positive
With
interaction.
A vessel.
Oh.
One with 2 heads.
Oh. Interesting. All right. That was a lot of information, but here we go. And I think that's it. I get 2 questions, or 1 question per 2 levels of experience. I'm level 9, so I get 4.5 questions. That's probably why I got all that extra information at the end.
Extra half question.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can feel the hand, those fingers that are running along your scalp in that sort of pleasant way that a lover might run their hands through your head, but you know they're like creepy long fingernail.
It starts pleasant
things.
and then I realize what's happening. It's like that's a bit of a trope in like movies. You're like dreaming of making out with some beautiful person and you wake up and it's your dog.
Yeah. In this situation, the hand goes from like gently rubbing through your hair to like gripping you by the hair at the scalp and pulling your head back from the crevice. It becomes a little bit more rough. And
I passed out over a crevice inhaling these fumes. I was probably gonna die of oxygen deprivation or whatever.
And as you come to lucidity, you can see the stars are out. You must have fallen asleep, or that process took hours instead of minutes. But you come to, once again, in Atropos's cave. Her apprentice is curled up in the apprentice spot. The sheepskin over her to keep her warm. Atropos is near the front of the cave, sitting cross-legged, just inches from the exit, staring up blindly into the sky.
Yeah. All right. Vaughn rolls first to a seated position on the ground. How long was I out?
Many hours.
Where's the apprentice?
She's curled up at the back of the cave in the designated apprentice sleeping spot. as far away from Atropos's sleeping spot as she will allow you.
Well, that was insightful.
Good. I want you to succeed. I want you to grow. I have put much time and effort into you, Devon. You will not fail me like the ones who came before you.
There were others.
Many others.
I don't think I've heard you speak of the other apprentices before.
It is not worth the time to dwell on the failures of the past. We must look forward. We must yearn for what is to come. Do you need a place to rest for the night? The cave gets so cold in the summer nights.
Actually feeling plenty well rested. I feel I've accepted enough of your hospitality.
If you ever need a warm bed, mine is always welcome, Devon.
I have a wife now. Is the staircase still intact?
It is.
Devon walks down the staircase into the night, and we'll begin the search for a two-headed creature in the Red Hills, which will probably wind up being wandering for some weeks, maybe making non-proficient hunters checks or something. If I can find something, that would be ideal. But I have a plan B if this is a disappointment. So
there's not a lot of two-headed things just cruising around. There might be another two-headed troll back in that brackish fen.
That's my plan B. In fact, I've got a two-headed troll heart spewing out a blood fountain. I could grow myself into a troll. I don't think you can multiply them, right?
Mm-mm.
You can't like split a troll in half and get two trolls, right?
They're not like worms, no.
No.
Although I like the concept.
I don't think worms do that either. I think if you best case scenario, one half becomes a worm, the other half just dies. But
I thought you could cut earthworms in half and they'd form two full earthworms.
I think that's something that sick people who cut earthworms in half like to tell themselves.
Well, first off, I've never cut an earthworm in half intentionally. When gardening with a shovel, I probably killed a few earthworms.
It's something that people who cut earthworms in half unintentionally with garden shovels tell themselves to feel better about murdering a worm.
God.
Because they do have organs. They're not like, yeah.
If an earthworm splits in two, it will not become two worms. The head of the worm may survive and regenerate its tail if it was cut behind the blah, blah, blah. Well, you're right. Mm-hmm. There goes my entire childhood.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they continue wriggling for a little while. I think that's what people think. Like, oh, it's wriggling. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Devon wanders into the night, hoping that he will stumble. I mean, there was that two-headed lion in like the very first episode. I think that's what he's initially hoping. So he's going to spend some time wandering around the Red Hills, hoping to find a two-headed lion.
Well, you haven't seen one since that day.
No. So he will take some time to convince himself that no such thing exists. And upon failing, will go and grow himself a two-headed troll.
Okay.
Folklore. I have animal handling. That's my shepherd-y stuff.
Do you know where you buried the two-headed lion?
Ish. I think it was somewhere around one of these hexes. Oh. One of those 3 hexes.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't even find it shortly after, right?
Okay.
Like that was like my first adventure, and I like stashed the body hoping to like return for it, and I was never quite able to find it. But that's the direction I will head.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you talking? Do you want to play D&D? Yeah, I may need to free the beast soon.
Okay.
So what is there any chance, or
There is
does Devon?
always a chance.
What would you like? Should we do hunting or something like that? Or tracking? One of these skills that with no proficiency?
Yeah. Yeah. Why don't you give me an animal lore check?
Okay, I do not have that. I have folklore and animal handling. What stat does that queue off of? Is it wisdom or is it intelligence?
Animal handling. No,
Animal
animal lore. Intelligence. No modifier.
All right. So divided by 2, right?
Mhm.
So they're d20 plus 8. No luck.
Yeah, you know literally nothing about two-headed lions other than that one random one that you found, which seemed an impossibility out here.
Yeah.
It might have had some sort of meaning, but seems to have been lost at this point in time.
How much time does Devon waste out here wandering the hills?
I think it's your journey back home to Necrot where you're thinking
I don't
deeply.
go to Necrot.
Oh, that night you don't head to Necrot. You head.
No, I think I just passed out for a few hours, so I think I searched through the night, maybe nap in the daytime or something, or nap towards the end of the night. Wake up again at dawn and keep walking. And I plan on wandering the Red Hills for days or something. And when I give up, I will go to Kronos' cave and retrieve the troll heart.
So I think it's that night that you first walk out into the Red Hills looking around, and you can't... And all the things that you've learned since you killed that two-headed lion, nothing has even remotely hinted at two-headed creatures out here. I mean, there's that two-headed troll, but everything else has been fairly normal, fairly ordinary. The cockatrices were clearly summoned by the Gorgon. All the other monsters seem to have some sort of appropriate origin. The two-headed lion eludes you as a mystery to how it could have been brought into existence, and therefore you wouldn't know where to begin to look for a second one.
Same place I found the first one. Okay.
Yeah.
But
did you want to maybe make another check of a different kind to see if you can find the first one, or are you happy to give up on that and just go for the troll?
I don't think a carcass is going to work, is it?
Yeah,
Doesn't
maybe
seem like an appropriate sacrifice.
It'd be more like a... You wouldn't want like a rotting two-headed lion as your guardian.
Maybe like a skeleton.
Yeah, maybe that's not a great guardian. Okay, yeah.
Well, the Yugoloth has a pretty specific description. I think it's going to get teleported in from another plane. But
yeah.
So I will eventually wander my way to Kronos' cave.
Okay. You can make your way to Kronos' cave some days later. Probably not that long. And there is the giant before you, the cleric of Velthar, a goddess of vengeance.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh.
I think it's snack time for the little one.
Okay. Well, you know what? We're right on the hour, so we'll take a break here, and when we come back, we'll deal with Devon's snack time.